According to Mike Garofalo, the San Francisco 49ers are interviewing Chiefs defensive backs coach David Merritt for their defensive coordinator position. Merritt is a longtime assistant for Steve Spagnuolo's helped coach up Casey's fourth-ranked pass defense this season. So this is a interesting name. We're getting a name out there, that's not Brandon Staley. It was reported a few days ago by Matt Mayoko of NBC Sports Bay Area that the 49ers are to interview at least two other outside candidates. And so here is one of those guys, David Merritt. Now, David Merritt has a long-time track record in the NFL. Like before that even, he was a defensive line. He started coaching in 1997 at the Chattanooga Mocs as an outside linebackers coach. Then in 1998 at Virginia Military Institute Cadets, he was a defensive ends coach and an outside linebackers coach. Then he continued at Virginia Military Institute Cadets, and in 1999 to 2000 he was the defensive line coach. Finally in 2001 till about 2003 with the New York Jets, he was the linebackers and defensive assistant coach. In 2004, then he moved to the New York Giants as a defensive assistant coach and quality controls coach in 2004. 2005 was a defensive assistant coach. 2006 through about 2011, secondaries coach or secondary coach for safeties, excuse me, which was actually all the way to, from 2007 to 2017. So for 10 years, been secondary and safety coach. Then in 2018 was an Arizona Cardinals defensive backs coach. And ever since then, he's been the defensive backs coach from 2019 to 2023 with the Kansas City Chiefs. So he has no coordinating experience. He hasn't been a DC before, but like I mentioned from that Mike Garofalo tweet, fourth ranked passing defense, you know, I think that he could be a fit because the Kansas City Chiefs front was pretty dominant this year. Their defense was kind of a lot of the reason why they were so successful this year, with the offense having issue with, Mahomes having the lack of weapons and Mahomes not really looking like himself in the regular season. So this is a interesting name for sure. But I think this guy could work out more than it did with Steve Wilks, because I think this guy can figure out how to, marry the defensive line, the linebackers, and the secondary. Because the issue with Steve Wilks was the secondary was pretty good, but then that defensive line and even the linebackers just weren't able to really marry together. They're kind of separate. He wasn't able to connect the whole defense all together. Players coming out there and saying, this defense is different. Nick Bosa not really liking this defense. It was a change for this defense. So this one's an interesting one, like I said. But again, he has no defensive coordinator experience, which might be kind of the guys they have to go, get out. Like Brandon Staley's the only other guy that has defensive coordinator experience. I don't know if they're going to have Mike Vrabel or Bill Belichick in for an interview or not. I feel like they've got to check on them, but these guys that they've interviewed so far don't have defensive coordinator experience. So, if they were to, let's say, um, hire a guy like Mike Vrabel or even just interview him, let's see. Not sure if so yeah, he was a defensive coordinator actually in 2017 with the Houston Texans. Mostly been a linebackers coach and then the head coach from 2018 to 2023. So, he's done it. It's just he hasn't done it since 2017. So that's like what, 7 years. So I mean, it's been a while. I think they could figure it out. Um, and then in terms of Bill Belichick, right? I know he's been kind of a guy that at least the fans are, you know, putting out there, that they want the 49ers to interview these guys, hire one of these guys. And so Bill Belichick, looking at his resume, the last time he was a defensive coordinator was 1990. Other than that, he's mostly been a head coach, assistant head coach, assist or defensive backs coach. He's also been a special teams coach, a staff assistant. So I mean, he hasn't been a defensive coordinator for a very long time. So I'm not, I think I definitely think it could work out with Bill Belichick and it could help them get over the hump. But I think that this honestly might not be a bad hire if the 49ers decide to go with David Merritt. Um, 1 second. Just wanna. So the Chiefs run a 4-3, and that's what the 49ers run too. So the nice thing about some of these, like compared to a guy like Mike Vrabel or a guy like Brandon Staley, is you're gonna have to see how they can do with changing that scheme because they're running a 3-4, and so again, I think David Merritt might be the guy because they're not gonna have to change the scheme, you know. And now they will have to see how he changes the scheme in terms of like the defensive scheme in terms of like is he gonna blitz a lot, um how's he kind of gonna do that even though he's gonna be running on 4-3. What kind of changes does he make to that defense? Would he go back to just kind of doing what the 49ers did with Robert Saleh, D'Amico Ryans? That's something that we have to ask ourselves and see. Okay, does he check that, mark that? Okay, then maybe he can be the guy. But I'm going to say this is a guy that the 49ers should definitely consider for the defensive coordinator spot. And I think the 49ers are doing their due diligence, which is a good thing. You don't want to have to rush it. I know people wanted it by the combine. But at the end of the day, also some of these coaches are probably scouting, these guys. And you know, if some of these guys that are not coaches, and if they know that they were gonna kind of, still looking for coaching jobs, I'm sure they've watched film and stuff too. Um, you just wouldn't get their opinion, you know, during the combine. But I definitely think that, again, you don't want to rush this. You want to make sure you get the right guy, interview the guys, spend a little day, a day or two kind of wrapping everything up and being like, okay, this is who we're hiring. So honestly, as long as the 49ers have a defensive coordinator by free agency, which would have to be not this next Monday, but the Monday after that. So we'll see what ends up happening, but just wanted to give you guys a quick update. Let me know in the comment section down below. How would you feel about the San Francisco 49ers possibly hiring David Merritt, the DBs coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, as the defense coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers? Make sure to like and subscribe. Turn that notification bell on so you never miss any updates. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Peace out and let's go 49ers.